welcome to the Blissey. So along, we're going to be doing style A hood for this version of the Blissey. It's also going to be 2 neck length and no pockets. If you want to do the pocket version, you can check out the other video, and that one has 2 neck length with the pockets. So let's get started with our required pieces. So for this, we're going to need the style A hood. We'll need one of each, or not one of each, but 2 pieces, and they'll be mirrored. And we'll need 2 sleeves and a front and a back. And the front, you're gonna cut that neckline at the hood neckline and at the higher hemline. And then the back will be cut at the very top neckline and at the lowest hemline, okay? All right. Okay, so we have our hoods, and the first thing that you want to do is to press the long end towards the wrong side 1 inch. So I've done that here, and the reason you do this is because once these hoods are sewn together, this is going to make it a lot easier. Now, this hood is very similar to my Hood Sport hoodie hood. So if you're into doing grommets or you want to try to do grommets, go watch that video, and before you sew this hood, before you finish it, watch that video, and then you can do grommets on this hood also. So now what we want to do is we want to unfold and put these right sides together, meaning that the print is together, okay? We're going to line up these raw edges right here, and we're going to sew right along this curve. We're not going to sew this, and we're not going to sew this. We're just going to sew right here. Okay, so here we are at the serger, and we're going to sew the hood pieces together. We're going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we're just going to sew the curved area. Remember to unfold the ends. Okay, so now it's sewn. The hood pieces are sewn together. We're going to go ahead and fold this back over, and we're going to sew that in place. Now, if you're doing grommets, you're going to want to make sure to get those grommets in before you fold this over and sew it in place, okay? Okay, so I'm going to use my cover stitch machine. It's a Janome 900 CPX to sew this in place. If you don't have a cover stitch machine, you can use your sewing machine and use a decorative stitch or a zigzag stitch. So I'm just gonna get this started on a scrap piece. Okay. And now I'm going to have the right side of my fabric facing the machine and the wrong side under the foot right here. And that's gonna give me a decorative looking stitch on this side. I'm adjusting my seam so that's lying flat. Now this seam is kind of thick, so I'm just going to stick this shim underneath it. The shim is just a few pieces of thin cardboard that I have taped together. Really easy to make. Makes getting over bumps easy. that is that, and I will meet you back at the table and we will sew the front and back pieces together. Okay, so our hood is sewn. It's done. This is what it looks like on the inside, okay? So it'll sit on your head like this. Okay, and now what we want to do is to sew the front and the back together. But before we do this, let's go and iron all our hems up. So 1 inch towards the wrong side, your front and your back pieces, and also your sleeve pieces, okay? So just get it out of the way now and iron those up, because when it's all sewn together, it's just gonna make everything a lot easier. Okay, so you've done that, let's say, and now we're going to sew the pieces together. So here's my back, and I'm going to take my front and I'm gonna lay it right sides together, meaning that I'm laying it with the prints together, and I'm gonna line up the shoulder seam. These are the shoulder seams, okay? And then I'm going to sew the shoulder seams together using my serger and a 1/4 inch seam allowance, okay? So from here to here, and then start sewing right here. So right there and right there. Okay, so next, now that our shoulder seams are sewn together, we're going to sew the sleeves on. And the sleeves are going to be so easy to sew. They really are. First thing you want to do is to lay your tunic right side up, meaning we can see the print. And then your shoulder seam right here, fold that towards the back of your tunic, okay? When you sew the sleeves on, you want to make sure that when you do it, that shoulder seam is towards the back. Okay, so then take one of your sleeves and fold it in half and find that middle point. And then mark that middle point. I mark my middle point with a pin. And then take your sleeve and lay the middle point at the shoulder seam. Pin it or clip it in place. Now you're ready to sew this sleeve on. You'll start at this corner with this corner. So you'll take it like this, and you'll put it under your sewing foot, and you'll sew, lining up all of these pieces until you get to the center, and then you'll continue sewing just like this all the way around. Okay, so let's go over to the serger and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, here we are at the serger. This is my tunic, this is the corner, this is my sleeve, and this is the corner. I'm going to take it and I'm going to get the rest of my tunic up here, line these two corners up just like this. And I'm going to put that under my foot, and I'm going to start sewing. And now that I have a few stitches in, I'm going to adjust this so that I get the fabric underneath straight and my sleeve straight. If this is your first time doing this, you'll want to take it slow. Remember that the shoulder seam needs to be towards the back of your shirt. And if you have a pin in, don't forget to take it out. Okay, I'm at that shoulder seam, and now I'm going to connect these two together, and I'm just going to line these up. I'll keep lining them up as I sew down to that other corner. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it's sewn. And we'll do the other one. So here's that corner. Here's my sleeve with my pin. That's going to go at my shoulder seam. Now my shoulder seam is going to face this way now because I flipped my shirt around, and that's the back. So I'm going to clip it right here, foot up, line those two corners up, slide it under my foot, get a few stitches in, and then I'm just going to keep lining the pieces up as I sew. Making sure that seam is facing the back. I'm going to line these two corners up. I'm just going to hold them while I straighten this out. Hold it around to the very end. With that done, let's go back over to the table. Okay, this is what our sleeves look like sewn on. So if you could remember, we talked about how we would end here and how we would begin here. And this is just what it looks like now, okay? So what we want to do is the side seams. So we're going to fold this over on itself. And we're going to line up all the raw edges at the sides. So from our sleeves to the armpit, all the way down to the hem. Now make sure that all those hems that you folded up and you pressed in place are now unfolded. Doing the hems will be the last bit, okay? So just get those all lined up, and then we're going to sew from here to here, one continuous sew all the way down here. And then we'll start sewing on this side from here to here, all the way down. And then once we have those side seams sewn, we will turn the hem back to the wrong side and we'll sew it in place. Okay, so our the inside of our tunic looks like this now. The side seams are sewn, my hem is turned up and it's sewn, and the last step for this version that we're doing is to sew the hood on. So go ahead and turn it right side out. We're going to find the center line for the front and the back at the neckline. So to do that, we're going to take our tunic by the shoulder seams, we're going to fold it in half. And this is going to tell us the exact front and the exact middle back of our tunic. Okay? I use pins to mark this because it's just a little bit more precise. Okay? So here we have it. And then we're going to take our hood and we're going to sew it on. Well, first we're going to attach it. I'm going to attach it with some clips. So, center back is going to go to this seam right here. Where'd that go? There it is. Okay. And then center front is going to get wrapped around like this, overlapping just a little bit. Okay? And then we're going to do the same. Right here. Now, before I sew this together completely, I'm going to base these cross-section pieces right here, because if I don't, for me, they always pop out. So it's not a required step, but it's recommended. So I'm gonna go do that right now. So I have basted that front crossover piece in place. Now I'm just going to take my shirt to the serger and I'm gonna start serging here in the back, and I'm going to just gently stretch, making sure that this shoulder seam is still towards the back. I'm going to gently stretch it very very gently, all the way around to the front as I sew, and then again all the way around towards the back. And that will be it for this. So let's go over to the serger and do that. Okay, so we're gonna sew this hood on. We got our foot up. I'm gonna start in the back. Take this clip out under the foot. Lining this up. I'll adjust as I sew. My shoulder seam is towards the back. There we go. Sewing all the way around. Lining all these raw edges up, making sure to definitely catch this cross area. Continue sewing. Pushing that shoulder seam to the back. Finishing about a ½ inch from where I started. So needles up, foot up. I'm just gonna clear those needles and then run it off, okay? And there we have it. Here our hood is sewn on, and for the version with the options that we're doing, we're done. This is it. If you need a little bit more detailed on like how to do the side seam or the hem, go check out the Blissey style B tunic that has the hood with the ears and also the pocket. But for us and what we're doing, we are done. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, subscribe. Thanks.